What's going on, everybody? It's your boy, Mr. Antoine, and you are tuned into another week of Access Granted, the pod stream, man. It's a pleasure to be back. For those that were looking for me last week, I was in the Dominican Republic doing a lot of things that I have to leave in the Dominican Republic. Nah, man, but was there last week celebrating my wife's 50th birthday. Welcome to the club. She had an absolutely amazing time. I don't know if you've had a chance to check out some of the videos that I've been posting on Facebook and stuff, man, but she had an amazing time. We also celebrated my little brother that's bigger than the big brother, as I call him. He celebrated his 44th the day before her. And it was just an honor and a pleasure, man, for all of the people that came out and showed love. So as much as I missed being on air last week, I think I can forgive one time because we definitely had a great time. Had a terrible time coming back. Got laid over in Miami 3 times. Well, got delayed in Miami 3 times on one layover. So a trip that was supposed to get us back to Baltimore probably around 10 something. I don't think we walked into the house until 3:15 a.m. And yeah, I see the look on your face back there, Dr. E. Yes, 3 a.m. And it was absolutely crazy. But God is, and we made it home. That's the important thing. They kept trying to convince us that, we want to make sure that the plane is safe for you. And I'm like, okay, so as long as the plane is safe, we'll take the delays or whatever. I'm also trying to see what is going on with my sister. She, for some reason, cannot get in. I'm going to send this to her one more time because she's telling me she's here and I definitely don't see her. And I know I sent a second link that because of the issues that I've been having. Unfortunately, I've been having some trouble the past couple of weeks with Facebook and StreamYard. There's a continuity issue that's not working too well. And so we haven't been live on Facebook, but I've been sharing the YouTube broadcast on my Facebook page. So hopefully we have some people coming in soon on my Facebook page, man. But I'm looking forward to this guest tonight, man. Me and this brother, look. God puts people. There she is. There she is. There she is. Come on in. Come on in. Come on in. How you doing, sis?
What up? Hello? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you. First of all, I was here the whole time, and my background crew are not here to help me. So I was in the studio the whole time. I'm so sorry.
I never saw you until you literally just popped up. Honestly, that's why I kept resending the link. But you're here now. That's all that matters. How's everything going?
I'm here now.
How's everything going? I missed you last week.
It's going okay.
Okay. Real good.
I missed you too. But I mean, you couldn't miss me so much because you are partying in another country, living it up.
Yeah. But you are a part of the Access Granted family. So anytime I don't see my family on Monday nights, I miss y'all regardless of what I'm doing. It's funny. I was over there. I was over there trying to figure out something to do to broadcast live last Monday and just couldn't. It was just so much going on. It was a lot of moving parts. It was like 14 of us there, and it was just a lot going on. And I think it just got to the point where the last thing I was worried about was trying to, so it was what it was. But we had an amazing time. But I'm glad to be back. I don't know if you heard me earlier when I was saying about the the fiasco on the return trip, we ended up not getting back until 3 in the morning because of these layovers in Miami being delayed. But you know, tis
Yeah.
what it is. It was a long.
Yeah.
It took us literally 12 hours to get back from what should have been like a little more than a 5 hour trip. But
Wow. Okay.
when you take the chance and you lay over, I guess that's the
Mhm.
chance that you take. So what's been going on for you?
Yeah.
Everything good on your end?
Yes, everything's amazing. I just working. I told you about the second one I picked up. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
it's an adventure. It's so funny. It's like you'll be one side of town and then you'll go to a side of town you didn't even know existed, and you're in awe like, wow.
Yeah,
So I like it.
yeah. I told you.
I like it. It's cool.
Yeah. I told you I drive Lyft part time. So
Yeah.
I've been in Baltimore all of my life, all 53 years.
Mhm.
And in the six
Okay.
years that I've been driving Lyft, I have discovered parts of Baltimore that I never knew existed. I thought I knew
Right.
Baltimore like the back of my hand. I don't even know Baltimore like three
At
fingers
all.
compared to some of the stuff that I've discovered. Um,
Right.
I've even discovered some parts of Baltimore County that like aren't even on the road. Like
Really?
I was in
Oh.
Woodlawn one day and I was taking this lady home off of Dogwood Road and she
Okay.
told me to make this turn right here. And I was like, make this turn where? This is nothing but a dirt road. And she said, yeah, make this turn on this dirt road. And we drove about a mile and a half back to about 15 of the most beautiful homes that you will find in Baltimore County, deep back in the woods. I was like, wow.
Wow.
And I asked her, I said, what do
Yeah.
y'all do? What do y'all do when it snows? And she said, nothing. She said it just like that. She was
Not
like,
nothing.
nothing. They can't. Like they're stuck back
Yeah.
there. She says Baltimore County does eventually come and plow the path to get them out. But until that
Wow.
happens, there's literally nothing that they can do. Um, I almost kind of feel sorry for them because they're in a situation where if they get stuck, it's a wrap. Like if there's an
Right.
emergency and they can't get out, it's really a
Mm.
wrap for them. But hey, that's the way that they chose to live and they love it. And like I said, 15, maybe 16 beautiful homes. Her home was all glass on the outside. I saw
All
nothing but
glass.
glass, but you couldn't
Really?
see in. Yeah, but you couldn't see inside the house.
Wow.
And once I saw the house, I started being
Hmm.
nosy. I was like, how many bedrooms? There's 8 bedrooms, 4 bathrooms in that house.
Wow.
Absolutely amazing.
It's wait a minute. What's
Absolutely.
all glass? Like all of it? She was in
All
a glass
glass
house,
on
literally. Like,
all glass on the outside. All glass on
oh
the
wow.
outside. And she said, I'm gonna let you know two things. You can't see in, and it's all bulletproof, so nobody can't come back here trying to shoot up
Oh
my house. And I was like, I definitely understand. I definitely understand. But yeah, quite a few
wow.
adventures
Oh
driving Lyft. There's definitely some parts of
yes.
Baltimore and some shortcuts that I've learned that I never
Yep.
knew existed. So yeah. But anyway,
So
man, we gonna go ahead.
was it a newer development? I'm sorry. Was it a
It's
newer
not a
development
development.
that
This
she lived
this
in?
looks this looked like 15 families just took some chainsaws and plowed their way
Oh.
back and said, "This is where we're going to build our houses."
Hmm.
And the mailman has to
Wow.
come back there because they all have individual mailboxes. It's not like a community mailbox where the mailman just stops once and no, it's community mail back there. And yeah, so it's real different. Like it's almost like they live off the grid, but they're definitely on the grid. I ain't see nothing but
Wow.
nice cars and nice SUVs and all of the driveways. But yeah, it's definitely different
Oh
back there.
wow.
Yeah, just one of the
Okay.
many adventures. So I
Yeah.
understand what you're saying when you can, the adventures that you that you have doing your thing. So
Yeah. So no, I don't. I prefer, even though today it was a little bit different, not difficult, but it was different. I mean, I prefer the groceries as opposed to the folks's.
hmm
But I understand what you're saying. Like there was a place I've never been to, Stevensonville.
hmm
Oh my goodness. It is beautiful.
yeah.
And it's like nowhere. It's like right behind like on the other side of Oakwood Road. But
Yep,
it's beautiful.
yep.
It
I
was
know
like
Steve.
gated community, like I almost felt underdressed, and I was like, "Wait a minute, I'm just delivering groceries here." Oh my God. Like the gardeners were like, "Oh yeah, you could just go up." I'm like, "Go up,
Yeah,
really?" Like
yeah,
it was an experience. But then I also, I delivered to the other spectrum, so it just doesn't matter where
yeah.
it is. And I'm
That's
always nice because I give what I want to receive. I'm
yeah,
always just that.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah.
Those are the kind of homes that tonight's guest is gonna purchase for us when he starts tapping
Okay.
into these millions that I know he's gonna be getting real soon, man.
Oh shucks now.
Yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Doc been claiming this as long as I've known him. So it's been about 6 or 7 years now, and he's been
Okay.
claiming it. He's been claiming it, and I already know he's well on his way, man. So as I was getting ready to say before you popped in, man, this guy has been nothing but a blessing and shown nothing but love since the very first day that we met. Um, a big supporter of everything that I've done. I can honestly say that, whether it's been, radio or whatever the case may be. A
Mm-hmm.
big supporter of the partners that I've had in the past, especially my man Jay McGraw. I know he loves him some Jay McGraw, aka hip hop, and just a real genuine dude. I don't want to give too long of an introduction because the introduction could take up the majority of the show. So we're gonna go ahead and bring. And I know he got his government name down there, but I don't even feel right calling him nothing but Dr. E. What's going on, bro?
All is good. All
Hey,
is
Dr.
well.
E.
You
Hey,
crazy, AG. That's
hey,
my
Doc.
big bro.
I thought about something today. My man Dame Dash. Oh my God, hold on. Gotta
Hello,
stop for
Dane.
my man Dame. Dame, I
Hey,
love you, bro.
Dane.
Dame, yeah, Lisa knows Dame. Dame was the one of
Hey,
actually
Dane.
the original co-host for Baltimore Flavor Radio back in 2014 when we started. And I always give Dame credit. First of all, I just noticed my name isn't even on here. Why isn't my name here? That's weird. But I always give
Oh,
Dame credit
it came
for
in.
calling me Mr. Antoine. People ask me all the time, why you call yourself Mr. Antoine? They think that I'm being vain when I call myself that. But I call myself that because that's what Dane used to call me back in the day because he's a little younger, so he was respecting his elders. And
Mm-hmm.
I always give Dame credit because Dame actually had his own like online show situation that he had just
Mm-hmm.
started when I talked to him and asked him to come be a part of Baltimore Flavor Radio. And I didn't ask him to stop his show. I just wanted, him to, see if we could work hand in hand and kind of help each other out. He dropped his show
Mm-hmm.
totally. He had perfect attendance for his entire career at Baltimore Flavor Radio. He used to get mad. I remember when we were up Radio on
Okay,
Fire
no
one
perfect
year.
attendance.
Yeah, look, Lisa, we had a snowstorm up at Radio on Fire when we were in Windsor Mill.
Uh-huh.
And Dame got mad. He was like,
Right.
Mr. Antoine, what you mean it ain't no show tonight? He was like, I'm like, Dame, I'm not
We're gonna
driving
do the
across
snow.
95 at 10 o'clock at night. And he's sitting up here
Uh-uh.
laughing now because he knows exactly what I'm talking about, man. But I appreciate you so much, Dame.
Oh.
And you always know, bro, that if there's ever anything that I can do, man, just holler at me, bro, and I got you. I got like really genuine love. Dame is a minister at my old church, St. Stephen's AME. And when that young brother gets up in that pulpit and he starts giving the word, it's an amazing thing, especially since he was like knee high to a cricket when we met. You know what I mean? To see the way he's grown in his ministry has been absolutely amazing, man. So Dame, thank you for tuning in, bro. I love you. I love you much, man. But Dr.
Oh,
E,
dang.
back to you, Doc. I miss your lives in the morning, man. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. You gotta go back to going live when you at work in the morning, bro.
I was live this morning.
Or I missed it. I missed it. I was out driving Lyft because I was off today. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, but what's been going on with you, man? How's everything
Man, just
going?
you already know, man.
The
Working the
hardest
vision, build the brand,
division built
working
the
and
brand.
building and working, putting in the
Yeah,
work, making things happen. And yeah, man, just moving strategic, staying
yeah,
focused, staying determined, pushing the brand and
yeah.
preparing for this event and definitely making things happen, man.
Yeah. Before we even get into the event, man, Dr. E, I know your story very well. I remember when we first met, I believe that you weren't working when we first met, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, I was actually it's so crazy.
Because
I
yeah,
was
because was that was
it,
that was that right around the time or no? By the time you did the event at the library on Harford Road, we had known each other for a while, but you weren't working at
yeah,
that time when the first book was coming out, right?
right. I was in between. Actually, I had when I did the one book, then it was like after that when I was in between the positions.
Yeah. Yeah. I just remember that time, Doc, because your spirit at that time when a lot of people would have been defeated was so high
Mm-hmm.
and so positive that I'll never forget that, man, because if you hadn't told me that you weren't working, I wouldn't have known, wouldn't have had no idea. But you were working towards something and your eye was on the prize of what you wanted to do at that time and you wasn't letting anything stop you, man. And I just remember just looking at you sometimes and watching your moves and everything online and being like, bro, this guy, he gets it. He gets it. He has the faith because you knew that God was going to keep you going through all of the situations,
Mm-hmm.
but you also had the vision of
Yeah,
everything that you wanted to do.
yeah. And you gotta stay locked into the vision.
Wow,
You
that's
gotta
amazing.
definitely with your faith, and definitely your faith. And not only that is because you gotta. I tell people you gotta put your faith to action. You gotta put your faith to work. But then you gotta work while you wait on whatever you're waiting for the transition and the manifestation of that to happen. And a lot of times we don't want to put in the work.
Mm-hmm.
We don't put our faith to action. We don't. Then, as I say all the time, I have this saying that I say one of my t-shirt lines says work the vision and build the brand. I tell people, don't let your visions and dreams die. Don't allow others to cause them to die, and don't even allow yourself to cause them to die. Sometimes you got to stop, pause, pivot, go back and take another look at it from another perspective, even in between waiting on the other position and even between the different campuses and waiting on that. I it's amazing because one, I would always say I went off on Mondays. Lord knows I had off on a whole lot of Mondays, right? But I got up just like every day while waiting on the other position. But yet at the library every day, they thought I was part of the staff. But I developed such a relationship with them at the library. I was doing teaching at the library. Then my books are in the library, and so I did book signings there as well. So God has a way of doing what he does. And I thought about something you just said, being delayed. Even when I was in between position, we were in Aruba. We were in Aruba and got delayed. But here's the flip script of that, and the positive side of being delayed. And I'll never forget, I wrote a chapter in one of the books, Soulful Prayers. And he said, things are delayed on purpose for purpose, but yet still on schedule because God's still on schedule. So me being delayed, the plane
Yes,
being
he is.
delayed, yet it was still on schedule because he's still on schedule. And things are delayed on purpose because it was a purpose behind it being delayed. So y'all getting back at the time you got back, it was purpose behind that. Because what if you would have left earlier? You could have ran into so much, but he sees so much further. We're looking at it one way, but then you got to see it from
Mm-hmm.
another perspective.
That's true.
Dr. E is the only person that can make a 6 hour 6 hour delay in the flight. Be like, okay, I get it, I understand. No, but I actually use that philosophy driving in traffic a lot when I get delayed in traffic. I'll be like, I feel like he's blocking me, from something that may
Yeah.
happen. So I definitely get it. I definitely get where you're going, Doc. And
And it's
during that,
hard to kind of look at it that way when you're in it.
yeah, definitely. Because I definitely wasn't looking at it that way Wednesday night when I was trying to get home,
No,
especially
like when
when,
you're going through it,
especially
you
when,
don't want to hear that.
especially when Wednesday night turned into Thursday morning. But as Doc will tell you, sometimes we got to go through those storms and those delays in order to get. And I mean, Doc, you're like the perfect example. Like you're like the prime example of going through your storms and coming out on the other side and really manifesting everything that you want. That's why I can't wait till you get these millions, man, so I can go buy me one of them houses out there where at least was
I
talking about.
got you. You already know I told you that. I told you that years ago. Those
Yeah.
connected to me is gonna get blessed. And that's definitely I hold to my word. And a lot of times you gotta keep like a lot of times people say things, but then you gotta keep putting in the work behind it. Like on my vision goal and prayer board, everything on there. But if I don't believe it, if I don't put it into action, you know what I mean? All I have is a board. If on my affirmation board, everything on it, I have to believe it. But then I gotta work while I'm waiting for things to manifest, while things to it's just in transition. And so what happens is we really don't believe it, but then we're not working while we're waiting on it. And so many times people may say, like Antoine said, they may want that house back there, but what are you doing to get that house? You know what I mean? Is your credit right? Or you know what I mean? You getting everything in line? Do you got the necessary paperwork? Did you go out and look? You know what I mean? Like I know when I was looking for my home, I had to go out. I couldn't just say, oh, I went to home and then just sit in the apartment and not go looking or not research or doing any of that. That's not how it's going to happen. And a lot of times people want things, but you gotta put in the work to do it.
That's true. They say, you know, you got to take one step. You got to take the step.
And a lot of people don't. You know what I'm saying? They may say, I want a radio station. What do you know anybody in your circle that has a radio station? Do you know, did you do any research? People ask me all the time, I want to write a book. I said, well, write it. Write it. You worry about the other things later because somebody's gonna have to edit it. You're gonna have somebody proofread it. But if you never start writing it, it's not gonna happen. You know what I mean? And so I said, but then here's the other thing. Once you do, you got to do research. You know what I'm saying? And don't, this mentality, you got to chase the bag. No, you better chase God, chase vision, dreams, and goals. That'll come. If you seek ye first the kingdom, all that other things will come. But the thing is, we're so busy hooked on that and in the mentality, because if you're not a good steward over it, you're not going to have it and keep it anyway.
That's true.
I've always heard pastors say you sit up here and you ask God to make you a millionaire, but you can't even be a steward over the $30,000 a year that you make. So, what you think you're gonna do with $1 million when you can't even handle 30,000 correctly? I always hear that. That's always stuck with me from the very first time I've heard a pastor say that, man, and it's so true. It's so true. Let me ask you a question, Doc.
Sure.
Because.
It's so true.
I don't think that Lisa, you're a little bit delayed. I'm not sure if you realize it, but you're getting stuck a little bit. But Doc, I wanted to ask you this. You've been the Dr. E that I know today since the day that I met you, but I'm quite sure that you haven't always been this Dr. E. Can you tell me, because this is something that I've never asked, I don't think, and I don't think this is a conversation that we've ever had. Tell me a little bit about you growing up. I know you're from Pennsylvania, but tell me a little bit about you growing up, and then that moment or that situation that happened that made you start the walk that you've been on for so many years now.
One, growing up in Harrisburg, PA, where I'm from, it's 8 of us. I have 5 brothers, 2 sisters. One brother passed. My one sister passed. My one brother, now my mom and father passed. Growing up, always I was number 7. So, went to school there, went to, college there. But always, I was like an entrepreneur, like in the 1st grade. I was hustling and grinding in the 1st grade, like literally Converse All-Stars, like literally I was spoiled, plus I had older brothers and sisters. So, definitely spoiled, but definitely like I was the one, I was always that vision of always how to hustle, how to grind, like I do it now, like literally for kingdom, So I tell people, like, from throwing the parties, you name it, I had like debate. Like when I tell that, people like, they be like, what? I was like, oh yeah, the hustling, the grind, that comes like natural because I did it. You know what I'm saying? And from throwing whether the parties and the senior skip days and all of that, but always went to school, always went to work, got a scholarship to college. Now we definitely did that. Definitely went to work, always went to school, but yet and still, the transitioning, you know what I mean? And a lot of times this is another thing that happens. People don't talk about transparency. They don't talk, you know, or share testimonies that could help somebody else, and everybody can't handle your testimonies. You definitely got to be careful with that because everybody can't handle it. And so, you know, when I'm telling it, like, you know, the hustle and the grind, and, you know, they like, what? I'm like, yeah, you know what I'm saying? But always still that I went to school, went to work. You know, I was one of the ones when I was in 10th grade, like the only one working for the government in co-op. That's like, how in the world you in 10th? You know, normally you got to be in like 12th to work the co-op. Like, yeah, I had that favor. Like back then, you know what I mean? I was working for the government, you know, and so going to school, working co-op, but always still, you know, with throwing, like I threw the most baddest, you know, house parties ain't like house parties. Like when I say I threw the baddest parties, like it was like, I'm telling you. And when I go back home and we laugh about it, like all my class of 86, we laugh about it, but I still, even to this day, stay in contact with all of our class. So normally before COVID, every 3 months, we like all get together, you know, just I check up on everybody, or we'll meet when I get to Harrisburg. But yeah, man, so it's a transition and the transparency. But when you take that pivotal moment where you shift, you know what I'm saying? And that, you know, when God is knowing that his hand is on you and he's calling you, but yet and still it's the transition. It's the going through the experiences of life, the journey, you know what I mean? To you really understand. I just taught a session to the middle school for a group dealing with purpose, but you have to be able to define it, understand it, to be able to walk in it, yet be able to fulfill it. And so it was a journey. It was a process. And then a lot of times people want to skip the process, but all of this was part of the journey. All of this was part of the process. Even when I transitioned from PA to here to Maryland, process, part of the journey, you know, going through wilderness experiences, going through transitions, and, you know, all of that was part of the journey. So now when I get up until this point now, but you look back and see that the pages, the chapters, you know, the turning the chapters, turning the pages, you know what I mean? But you had to go through that to get to where you are and even where you're yet going. And so, yeah, all of that was a part of the process. You know what I'm saying? And so now when I look at it now, sometimes you laugh, you be like, you know what? And seeing what God has brought you and kept you, you know what I mean? Because it could have always gone another way, you know?
Yeah.
Could have always gone another way. And so I'm just grateful that even with the journey, you know what I mean? I see that, and it was part. So when I go back or talk to other people and you can share, because a lot of times you can be more effective when you have gone through it to be able to tell somebody about what you have or the experience that you had. And if they can't relate, you really can't be effective. But I know a lot of people I can relate, or say, you know, I know about hustling, I know about grinding, I know about, you know what I mean? They can relate. And you can be more effective because when they see you now, you're gonna be like, wow, if he did it for you, you know what I mean? He can do it for me. And so that's the whole transition of it and the process of now where you are.
I'm just trying to I'm just trying to imagine Dr. E ditching school and some of them parties that you threw, man.
No, but here's the thing. I always went. I graduated from high school with perfect attendance and with a scholarship. Like I didn't miss. Now some of them other folks, listen, we used to like to gamble. It's crazy, like to gamble, but I always made it back to class. You know what I'm saying? I just didn't get caught. You know what I'm saying? And that's the thing about it is that, but I still knew priorities. I still knew priorities, you know. And then at that time, my mom worked for the school district, and then my sister was on the school board. So some of my teachers, I'm calling your sister, you know. So that's another thing that still kept me focused, you know. So and then you can get disciplined in school. So not like now, we got disciplined in school.
And as you made that transition here to Baltimore, talk a little bit about that. How old were you when you came here?
actually 24.
24.
I've actually been here 30 years. Like,
Wow.
30 years. And so the transition of moving here to Maryland, I didn't even, it was like all in the plan and will of God. Because when I moved here and I moved to Wellington Gates, man, it was really, really nice over there. Just beautiful.
Shout out to Wellington Gates.
And then, yeah, Wellington Gates. And then I moved a couple years over to over at Knotwood Court for Dutch Village. It was really beautiful back then. And so then I started, I was working for a temp agency when I first moved to, actually I wasn't when I first moved. I was going back to PA, and I was going back to church there until I joined Bethel Temple, where I've been going on 30 years. And then I started working at Hopkins, but it was under interest staff was temp, and that was like in '92. And I went to work for Injured Workers Insurance Fund, and then I was there, and then Concentra. And then after that, I've been working at Hopkins ever since. So the transition, even with positions or jobs or companies, but then also visiting different churches, but definitely when I heard the late Apostle Evans, it was like, wow.
I was about to say, go ahead and shout the bishop out, man. You got to.
Yeah. And from the late Apostle Evans, who transitioned 23 years into now Bishop Pender, who actually will be celebrating his birthday next month on the 13th, his 75th. But just being at Bethel going on 30 years, it's been a blessing. So the journey, even with that and the development now from minister to elder, you know, that whole transition and them, you know what I mean, that other part of the journey, molding and shaping and, you know what I mean, in the spiritual journey and the spiritual walk, though I had a foundation, but that just further enhanced and the impartation and the teaching and all of that. So now to where I am right now. And so that's been a blessing being there. And of course, anybody knows I love my church, love my pastor and my former pastor, the late Apostle Evans, as well as with Bishop Pender. And so that whole development of seeing like Apostle Evans saw what I didn't see, you know what I mean? And even with the training and shifting into and that ministerial role, you know what I mean? So that what God spoke to him. And so now, even with my further development with Bishop Pender, so now on that spiritual walk, it just has been more enhanced and just, it's just been phenomenal, you know, even through the storm situation, circumstance you're going to experience, but it's all a part of the process. It's all a part of the journey.
I've actually stolen that phrase from you, the storm situation. I use that all the time, and you're the first person I'd ever heard talk about that. And I'm gonna tell you, the first time I heard you talk about it, we were on. It was the day that we were at not Ready on Fire, that we were at WMSK, and we were on Lady Blue show with her husband.
Oh yeah,
on like a Friday. I heard you mention that, and that phrase stuck with me, and I've been using that ever since. So if I ever start making some money off of that, I know I got to give you like 75% because you're my originator for that phrase. But it describes to me, you know, so much of the stuff that we go through that we're not ready for, you know, and what we do to get through the other side of that situation. You know what I mean?
That's why process and preparation is so important. And I talk about it in one of my books, you know, my next season is due season, when it deals with the process and preparation. We don't want to go through process and preparation. We want to harvest. We want all of that, but yet and still, before you can get that, it's process, it's preparation. And so you have to go through that, and you cannot skip the process, because if you skip the process, you're going to miss what the important part of it is. The farmer can't skip the process of the middle, because it's the most critical. It's crucial to the seed germinating through the underground process, because if he don't, I remember God giving me this, how you handle the middle process is going to determine the outcome. Just don't get stuck in the middle of the process. We get stuck in the middle of the process, and we don't really understand that middle process is important. So if the farmer get stuck in the middle of the process. If he doesn't understand that how important the middle process is of the watering, the nurturing, and the harvesting of the seed, it'll never germinate through the underground process to get to the set time and season to produce the harvest at the set time. And it may not even be the same year, but he still has to start the process all over again, but he just can't get stuck in the middle of the process.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And that's the perfect transition, because I was just about to bring up the power of the seed, bro. And you went straight into that's the way this works. I definitely wanted to touch on, because that was the first, and I think that was right around the time that we started meeting, when that book was, in its conclusion and about to hit. And you had no idea. I remember these conversations with you, man. You had no idea at the time that not only were you going to be, selling the book and doing everything, but that your book was going to end up in public libraries in Baltimore, public libraries in the county, public libraries in Pennsylvania. Talk a little bit about that book, man, because that's to me, that's kind of the power of the seed. Is kind of like Dr. E's seed that has gotten you to where we get ready to go now, for real.
It really is, and it's the thing, but it's my brand. And as Apostle Ledbetter said, I'm the seed master. But my little nephew, who's like 11, he said, "That's don't you the seed man?" And it really is the theme of it. But it's my brand, but it's who I am, and the power of the seed, and being the first book. But it has been such a phenomenal book that has traveled like so many places, like Antoine said, in Baltimore County Libraries, Dauphin County Libraries, it's in Westminster, Carroll County Libraries, it's in Australia, Mexico, like in Mississippi, the largest distribution on worldcat.org. Yeah, it has really, it's amazing, because and even when teaching it so many different places, it's like literally, I didn't even know it. I was looking for something for my book, and I was like, wait, this is in like, it was like 77 something, but it was in Mexico. And I was like, wow. And then when I looked something up and it was in Australia, now that really, I was like, wow, I was just looking for something I needed out of the book. And so I was online, didn't know it was on Target's website, Walmart's website. And so when God gave me the power of the seed, I literally, and I love telling this story, I literally was asking God. I remember one Saturday morning coming downstairs, praying at one of my prayer times, which was 5 a.m. I was downstairs in the front room praying, and I was asking God to bless me with a project to be a blessing to ministry, to my bishop and first lady, and to the kingdom. And so literally getting up from there, walked in the kitchen, opened the door to the deck, and the tree in my yard had changed. He said, your season just changed. Your season just changed. Put it in book, the power of the seed. And I literally turned around, opened up the drawer, took out a piece of paper, and I drew it. And I still actually have the manuscript, right? I literally drew the tree, put the power of the seed, drew the tree. And then what I did was I called a buddy of mine. I said, it was like 5:45 that time. So I sent him, I was like, listen, this is what I need. He probably said, what in the world is my big brother, Dr. E, sending me at 5:45 on a Saturday morning? Well, he's a graphic designer. Listen, and an entrepreneur. So at any given moment, you see what I'm saying? At any given moment, you cannot miss that Kairos moment. You cannot miss that moment that he gave that, because I could have missed everything that would have transpired with the power of the seed. And so now, even with now having it, as I have a workbook to it, a worksheet, and a power of the seed masterclass to it. And so I could have missed all of that by procrastinating and not following the plan and instruction that God gave for it. I literally just started going to work. That's why I said, when I tell people, write it. You worrying about all these other things, that'll come. You just got to start writing, because if you never write it, it'll never get published. And so that with the power of the seed has really, from my clothing line of it, the power of the seed with the hoodies, the whole clothing line, it's just really been such a blessing that I have taught, in the natural and secular, the spiritual as well, as far as in libraries, in sessions, or different people's conferences. And when COVID hit, I've taught it. I was like literally in Africa, sitting right here in Baltimore.
Yeah.
So it really has the power of the seed will always be, of course, near and dear because it's the first one, but it's dedicated as well because right before it got released, my mom transitioned. Like just on a Sunday, I talked to her. Tuesday, my sister was calling, and I'm like, now at my 1 a.m. prayer hour. So I'm thinking I'm in the dream, like something like what did the phone just ring? At that time, I still had a house phone too. So I'm like, did my phone just ring? And so I dialed it back, and it was like, wow. But I could hear my mom saying, and I shared this when I was at the Cary Business School where I graduated from, when I had to do a presentation on walking your purpose. It's called a pocket story. So I dropped that pocket story because I could hear my mom saying, quitting is not you can't quit. You got to keep going. Quitting is not an option. And so I heard that. And so which kept me that I know it had to be released. And so with that, I look at now at the power of the seed, and it has really, man, like even the reviews on Amazon or, people still request it. And it is actually a short but powerful book. And so even when we had the pandemic, it was a pivotal time of sharing that because most people, the tithing, their finances, all of that, even the most believers was like, they can't afford to do this, this, and this. But you got to be reminded of how powerful the seed is. You got to be reminded tithing, seeding, and sowing, it still works because you'll never get a harvest without seeding, planting, or sowing. But you got to be reminded. Sometimes all you need is a thought and a memory.
I was going to wear my...
me, even between the position, it kept me. Because I had planted, I had seeded, I had sown. And when David declared, I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging, I know I can apply it because I've never seen it because it's never happened. And so even with that, that made the testimony even that much more that God has done it again. He sustained me. He kept me. And so when I tell people, unless I tell it, they would have never knew it.
Wow.
I was gonna wear my Glory Changes the Rules hoodie, but it's a little hot in my basement, man. So I couldn't. and I got the T-shirt around here somewhere, but I have so many T-shirts that I've purchased from people over the years, trying to support their different brands and movements. That it's no telling where on these 3 floors of my house that T-shirt is, but it's definitely around here somewhere, man. And I always make sure, Dr. E, that when you got something coming out, whether it's a book, whether it's a hoodie, a T-shirt. You could be selling power to seed popsicles, man, and I'm gonna come out.
Not the popsicles.
Yeah, hey, he could sell some power to seeds and tell me that if I plant them seeds in my backyard, that a tree gonna grow, and I'm gonna get them seeds from Dr. E. And that's real.
You gonna get them seeds?
Yeah, that's real. Because I love, like, Dr. E is just one of those people that walks what he talks. And he never wavers. He never lets anything, from the passing of his mom through stress that he's been going through at work. He works at Johns Hopkins, so I know he'd be having some stressful days, bro. But he never lets any of that kind of stuff work on his spirit. You can see Dr. E today, and he'll have the same smile that he had the day after his mom passed, like literally, and this is the only Dr. E that I know. Like I can't imagine him being any other way other than this. Always energetic, always positive, always, always talking and I don't want to say preaching the word, but he's preaching the word even though he's not intending to preach the word. This is the only Dr. E I know. That's why I was looking forward to this interview. Definitely. This is my guy right here, man. Like, the energy has always been on 10,000 from the day that I met this guy. That's why I make sure I support everything that he does, man. Everything.
Wow.
So let's talk. Amazing. So let's talk about this second annual. Doesn't that sound good, Doc? Second annual. Let's talk about this second annual event that you have coming up this weekend.
This Saturday. Listen, I had to do a commercial in church Sunday for my pastor's 75th. was like, all right, y'all, I'm getting ready to shift to the radio voice, right? And they was like, I like Florida. They was like, wow. But it is, I was like, listen, you know, I shared his, but when it comes to with this amazing event, which is not just an event, but is a vision that manifested. Listen, y'all, tell them the Power of the Pen, the Authors Expo, happening May 27th, 3 p.m. to 7, y'all. This Saturday, 248 Create is the venue, located at 248 South Broadway Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21231. Listen, let's keep writing. Let's keep talking. We're doing it from a male's perspective, not only from a male's perspective this year, but from a Black male's perspective. So it is happening this Saturday, y'all, May 27th. And you still got time to get tickets, but it is happening May 27th, this Saturday, 3 p.m. to 7. It is so important with this event, because we're doing it for the culture and community. We're doing it to reach our youth, our young men, our men of color. With so much going on in our culture, in our community, in our city, we've got to reach them.
And talk a little bit about your vision behind the one that you did last year, and then I got something else that I want to say after you talk about this from last year.
Wow, when God gave me this, it was, and it's amazing because He did not give me the revelation of it to this year, like a month ago. When how it happened was 9 of us praying every Monday, 9 p.m. for a friend of ours, my friend and sister, who needed a miracle that only God could do. And so we would pray 9 p.m. every Monday. And I would sit here, and one day after we got off, I was just sitting here. I was drenched, sweat, tears, you know, definitely believing God for the miracle. And literally the Spirit said, the Power of the Pen, the Authors Expo. And I was sitting here like, well, what I did, I opened up this journal and I wrote it, and I began to do it just like the instructions were, from every individual to the vendors, the whole program. And I sat here and I literally wrote it out. And so from last year, when we had it, it was amazing. But then shifting to this year, you know, He always gives you different things. But as I said, you always got to follow the plan and instruction that God gave. And so last year we had a diversity of individuals on there, and it was really good. But then you also learn and try to level up from what you did, from whatever event, whatever conference, and what could I do better? What were the takeaways? What could I add? What can I move away? And so I had to focus, look at it, and see when He told me to do it from a male's perspective this year, and gave me every individual on here. And so, you know, it's God, one, when you share the vision and they lock into the vision. And so down to the vendors, down to the venue and all of that. And so this year is really significant because it's a powerful, dynamic panel of all Black men, diversity of ages, talents, and gifts that's going to speak to our culture, our community, to speak to those who are there. And everybody, it's going to learn. Someone's going to learn from each and every one of them, whether it's my brother, Coach George, who just wrote his book because he said he didn't get it right, dealing with divorce and, you know, dealing with the things he went through in marriage. Or when you got my little mentee on here, Minister Town, the transition of him being hit by a car and trucks, like literally, talk about a miracle. But unless you got my big brother Rashad Bowtie Mills, who talks about when he wrote his book called My Prison Number, you know, dealing with, you know, being in prison, you know, now as a licensed therapist, clinician. Or my little nephew, Prophet Keandre, Pastor Luke, is doing an amazing job as a youth, a pastor, a leader, you know. Or you got Don Brightman, who one is responsible for my books being in the county libraries, but a phenomenal, we call him the king of podcasts. If you ever need to be, man, his podcast had me on there for every book, even this event. When he streamed it, I promise you, I'm in like 99,000 countries. Like,
oh, that's the man I need to meet. What's his name again? What's his name?
Dominic Brightman. He's on the flyer.
Okay, I see him, Dominic. I need to make sure
What?
I holler at him Saturday.
Yes, tell him tell him say my little brother Dr. E told me to reach out. Like literally, when he sent it to me, it was about 15, 16 links of where I clicked on them. I'm telling you, I was all over the country.
Wow.
Literally phenomenal. And then you got, of course, my too tall little brother. I call him Dr. Brian knows. He's the CEO of CEO and Visionary Black Speakers Network. Y'all, BSN rocks. If you are not a part of BSN Black Speakers Network, you have got to go on there and become a member. When I tell you, phenomenal network, 16,000 and rising. But it's a phenomenal network. He's been a pusher of this event, sponsoring, and one that he took time to be on the panel. My little brother, Pastor Jacoby Washington, doing phenomenal with the children's book and his nonprofit with autism. Man, when I tell you, he's just been doing phenomenal. Then you got Pastor Troy Jones, man, 108 organization, B Men's Group, where I would come in every Wednesday before COVID. They're doing it on Zoom and stuff, but we would come in there where men had a safe place that we could talk, we could dialogue, and you sign the confidentiality because you don't just be sharing people's information. Exactly. And so it come in that you could help the brothers have a release or have people to talk. And then you got, of course, Apostle Jonathan Patterson, phenomenal oracle, phenomenal teacher, prolific. And so you got a diverse group of talents, gifts on this panel that's going to speak to the people, that's going to share. We're going to talk about mental health because it is real. And I know May is considered mental health, but anytime you go through it, I don't care what month you in.
Right.
It's mental, and so we're coming together. And I tell people, this is not about a money making thing. This is about imparting. This is about being able to speak to the youth, the young men, the men. This is about showing them there's another way, see it from another perspective, showing that they can dream, they can have vision, they can have goals, they can be what they want to be. And so we're going to deal with all of that. And so what better than an all panel just like we have on here?
And I think I met Dr. Oles at your first event last year.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken. I believe
absolutely. Yep.
I think I ended up at the table with him, and that's kind of what I wanted to touch on, because there were, last year's event was great, but there were definitely some technical things that went on that could have discouraged you from not wanting to do this again. I remember talking to you shortly after, and you were like, you didn't want to use that venue again. And then you had the issues with the sound. So we all had to move close to the stage so that we can make sure that we heard everything. There were definitely, and when you're trying to, I feel like when you're trying to do the right thing, there's always those kind of little speed bumps that come in that want to deter you. And I knew that you weren't going to let those things stop you from moving this vision forward. So I'm just happy that there's a second annual one. And from the brothers on this panel that I know, because I do know a couple of these guys, whether I know them personally or I just have seen them or I've had the opportunity to hear them speak, I know that it's going to be a very, very, very powerful event. I know it is. It's going to be amazing. It is.
And so even from last year, the first thing I did, I locked in the DJ and sound. Matter of fact, I was on there with them earlier. But
no karaoke machines this year.
I didn't know when I got the venue, even though I ordered mics and all of that, mic covers, and like they got all the mic. There's like, Dr. E, we got you. I said, listen, that was locked in contract. They do it on the side as their other living. So they have all the equipment, all of that. So I made sure there's like how many. I was like, oh, we need this many mics. Do you have them? Do I need to order? We got all of that taken care of. And so you learn and you grow, because like I said, I didn't know that they didn't have the sound system in that one, as opposed to nothing. Then I would never rent another venue when they have something else next, which that was the other thing that I didn't know. Space and all that stuff was good, and they are good, but you learn, you grow, and you see what could you do better, what can you apply, what were takeaways. So everything now, like I said, everything is set and done, from picking up the red carpet to making sure media, sound, all of that, the venues, the tables, the chair, all that stuff is done, set in place. From the special awards we doing, all of that is done. Listen, the poster board, banners, the stand, everything is set and done. And I just met with the venue one other time. I think that's like my 4th time. But I had to seal it in there with prayer, get the atmosphere right, the oil, you name it. And so all of that's set and done. So when we get there, like I told people, the program, all that stuff is done. Absolutely everything is set and done, except for just the only little things that you got to get on set, the balloons and all that stuff that you can't, of course, get now. But that's right up the street. And so the thing about it is planning, preparation, organization, and learning from what was last year and how could you improve, or what do I need to take away. And so you get all of that stuff and you make sure. And so now, like I tell people, it's set and done. And so if you do have time to have to maneuver things, if things happen, like my cousin, they had a death. She was like, wow, I'm gonna try to see. I said, if you cannot, that's fine, because they was going to do the table and the balloon arch and all of that. But guess what? I had already prepared. I had a backup plan that I was already going to get this many balloons, this, that, and the other, because we don't know when death is going to happen. And so, but when you plan, you prepare, you organize, you got room to maneuver things. And so, like I told her, she was like, well, you got everything, just everything is already, you know what I'm saying? You always got to have a backup plan. You always got to be even moving strategic, but yet instill the organization and making sure like everything's set, done, and ready. The venue, listen, everything's set and done.
So with all of the hiccups that you had last year, when there were so many things that you weren't prepared for, I can already imagine now that you've learned from that. Because like you said, the first thing you did was you went out and you made sure you got the DJ and the sound. I can imagine how much more powerful this one is going to be. And if you need somebody to do those balloon arches, bro, I got like 2 or 3 people that I can send your way if you need those balloon arches done, honestly.
That'll work.
So, yeah, just let me know.
Yep, I need it. Yep, that'll work right there.
Look, there's a young lady that you know that's been procrastinating getting her business done, that you've been in her ear for like 2 or 3 years, that does amazing balloon arches, her and her sister now. So if you need that, let me know and I can.
Yep, tell them it's a set.
Okay.
It's there because she's going to let me actually come in at 1. So they even gave me more time at the venue to come in. So that was favor and a blessing. It was going to be 1:30. She said, but we'll try to get there at 1. So that even gives me more time. And I told the DJ and all, come here. I'll be here. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get there early anyway.
Yeah. That's why I love you, Doc. You man,
yeah. But you learn, and not only that, if like I tell people, one is going to be successful because I'm following the plan and instruction God gave. Then I prayed, gave it back to God. Lord, breathe on it, breathe your favor on it. I'll consecrate it and I'll give it back to you. So it's in the best hands. It's in the hands of God. And so the thing is, I'm following the plan and instruction, even with little things even happening now. Like I didn't know, even my photographer, listen, but I always got a backup plan. Didn't know his grandfather was going to pay. We, because his birthday's next week,
happens.
But I said, if you cannot, it's okay. But see, when you plan, you prepare, you organize, even if things happen, you got time to maneuver. You got time you got to have a backup plan.
Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah. And unfortunately, we go through a lot of those situations, not only with stuff like this, but in life. Without a backup plan. And like Lisa, I know you're on your backup plan right now, Lisa. I know, you know what I mean? And when you don't have that plan, like people call it plan B. I go up to like O with my optional plan, you know what I mean? Because you just never know what tomorrow is going to bring. And no matter what it is that you go through, I always tell people, whether good or bad, but especially in the bad, no matter what you go through, at the end of the day, you can have death in the family, you can have all kind of disasters, but your rent or your mortgage still got to be paid on the first of the month. And unfortunately, they don't want to hear, such and such happened. They're like, okay, but where's your rent? Where's your mortgage? BGE, who I feel like we overpay anyway.
How about that?
But that's another show. But people in those positions don't want to hear, that we've gone through. I was thankful not for my situation, but for other people. I was thankful when we were going through the pandemic and they passed a law that landlords couldn't kick people out because they weren't able to pay rent.
True.
Can you imagine?
True.
Can you imagine how many people would have been homeless during the pandemic if they weren't able to pay their rent and people were able to kick them out?
And then even with this, Antoine, is that we learn, and even in the situations, what have we learned? What did we apply? And here's the thing, even with that thing with me in between positions, I've worked so hard I've watched my credit score go up, but I've learned too, I'm more strategic with what I do. I'm learning like, okay, I've paid stuff ahead. I made sure. So you learn, and you got to apply it. You know what I'm saying? Because it was a learning experience. I always say it's not a bad experience. It's a learning experience because it's life. Situations happen, circumstances happen, even when they happen out of our control. What did I learn from it? What did I gain? What can I apply? What did I take away? And you got to apply that, because a lot of times we'll say, oh, this happened, or, you know what I mean? With that, I went into there, I was like 10 months into that position, like, career move, but yet and still. But I couldn't allow that just to stop me, whatever vision, dream, goals, or my faith. You know what I'm saying? If I say, and I'm trusting and believing God, and the thing about it is with your vision, because it's going to happen. Things are going to happen, circumstances, situation, and nobody knew about the pandemic, only God. That could shut down an entire world, shut us up. But then I'll tell you one thing, he set us up to be blessed. Only God. No prophets knew it. No pastors, teachers. Nobody knew it but God. And so it caught us all off guard and unaware. I always say, like Paul, when the Euroclydon storm happened, it showed up unannounced, unaware, and uninvited. But guess what? They had two options, swim or sink.
Right.
And so you learn. And so even with that thing, I never really just waste, you know what I mean? But it makes me more think of what I need to do. And so as long as I paid so much stuff to my credit score, went up 41 more points. You see what I'm saying? But you learn.
Let me hold 13 points, Doc. Let me hold 13 points.
You got it. But see what I'm saying? But it makes you, you know what I'm saying? And you're more strategic. Or like I have a credit card. I don't just use it, just say, I'm going to go out here and buy this, that, and the other. Nope. I never go into another month with a balance. And I'll only spend what I know I can just pay the whole thing off. Mm-hmm. But you learn, because when we was in school, when I was in 10, I had them all. I was just like, as we say, we was balling, you know what I mean? But then.
You talking about credit cards?
Yeah.
Hey, look, let me tell you something, man. Let me tell you something. So I went to Job Corps after high school because I really didn't have an idea. I didn't want to go to college originally, and I didn't really know what I wanted to do. So I went to the Job Corps in Pittsburgh first, and made it through their program. And after you make it through their community college program, they send you to a 4-year college. So I had a choice between going to a school in West Virginia and a school in Cincinnati. And me being young and ignorant thought that Cincinnati was country. So I didn't want to go to the country. I said, I'm going to go to West Virginia. Now realizing that West Virginia was Mayberry.
That is country.
Long story short, on that campus used to have, when you go into the bookstore and you make a purchase and you get a bag, there used to be a application for a Discover card in that bag.
Yes, that's where they set you up.
I ain't have no job and I ain't have no credit history, but they were offering me $500 worth of credit. Man, I took that card. You couldn't tell me I wasn't P. Diddy, Jack. You couldn't tell me I was. I probably owe Discover to this day. It's just not showing up on my credit report no more. And this is where hey Doc, this is where I got them. It used to be a Woolworths. This is how country they were. They still had Woolworths back then. Across the street from. There used to be a Woolworths across the street from the campus. when you went over there, and I used to go over there and get toiletries and like little snacks and stuff to keep in the room. They used to have they didn't have a credit thing where you scan the card or whatever. They had one of those little things where they had the carbon paper, and then you sat the card on top and then they did like this, and they had no chance to. They didn't realize until 10 business days later that you ain't have the credit to pay for the. Boy, I killed them down there. I killed them. I killed them down there. And now that I look back, I'm like, bro, what were you doing? What were you doing? But when you put that kind of power in, the hands of a 17, 18, 19-year-old that doesn't know any better, I was just trying to make sure I had some snacks because the cafeteria closed at 6 o'clock. It was really
this is also part of with this, the power of the Pen the Authors Expo. We want to show them. We want to help them. We want to invest in them. We want to teach them. We want to empower them, knowledge and wisdom, because if it's not taught, if it's not imparted to them, and definitely most of you already know in our culture community, that wasn't really taught, money management and all of that. And so now we have the opportunity to really pour into these youth, these young men and these men. And that's why I told people, if you can't bless somebody else with a ticket, my friend Catherine, her company sponsored 10 people. You know what I mean? BSN, they sponsored 5. You know what I mean? And so we have people that it's about an investment. It's about planting seed, that whether they're seeds to their dream, their vision, their goals, their future. So that's why I've been driving and telling people this is about an investment. This is about planting seed that's going to produce a harvest later.
Right.
Power of the seed.
There you go.
Power of the seed, man. It always goes back to that. And this is one of those events that I feel I pray that it's a lot of young Black men in the building. Because as you said, this is something, a lot of this stuff isn't taught to us. And unfortunately, that generational curse thing is real. Like, I'm a living witness that the generational curse thing is real, man. So, I already know that the messages that the men are going to deliver are going to be powerful. But I just pray that they're like, a lot of times, how do they say it? You preaching to the congregation. A lot of times the words that you're speaking, you're talking to people that already know and understand. I hope that there are some people here that really need to get the information, that's going to be presented.
That's why I've been driving it so hard. One, it's a passion and a purpose, but it's the vision that God gave. And that's why I'm so passionate about, and telling people when we're having things that are going to be so effective and powerful, you have to show up.
And sometimes that's all it takes, is just to show up.
Just to show up.
That's all it takes. So you talk, are you having vendors this year?
I am. I do have a diversity of vendors. So looking forward that we can come in, support one another, help one another. As my first lady's been teaching sessions, iron sharpens iron. We are brothers and sisters keeper, and we're coming in culture and community. We're doing it for the culture and community. And so we have a diversity of vendors. And like I said, special entertainment, got the red carpet, on some media, on the DJ sound, all of that, to be able to come together, to network, to fellowship, to connect together, and to help one another, to push your vision, to push her dream, to impart into one another, and that we're in this together. Like the preacher said Sunday, which is just, we've been saying, we win together. We're in this together.
Right.
So I'm hoping that one of the vendors is my boy Terrence Belton, because
you already know. He is.
Oh,
he is.
I met Terrence a few years ago. We bowled together on Tuesday nights, and so when I saw him at the event last year, I had no idea that he had the chicken and the rice and all of that. Man, listen.
Yeah, they some good people. Good people. Man, they go to my church too.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Real good people. Real good people. Shout out to Terrence, man. So give everybody the information again, Doc. The location, the price, the time, all of that stuff that they need to know for Saturday.
Well, listen, everybody. It's been absolutely amazing on here on AG.
Yeah.
It's just amazing. Thank you, Big Bro. I appreciate it.
Always, man.
Man, I just am grateful. And definitely our bond, our love, our fellowship. I thank God for y'all. And so this has been amazing because it's so much needed in our culture and in our community. So again, the power of the pen, the Authors Expo, happening this Saturday. Somebody says they say in church. Tell your neighbor this Saturday, May 27th, 3 p.m. to 7. Listen, the venue is 248 Create. You can look them up on IG. 248 Create, phenomenal, beautiful venue. It's located at 248 South Broadway Street, right before you get to the Cross Street Market. So just come straight down Broadway, right on the right-hand side, 248 South Broadway Street, right there to get to parking on the side, parking in the front. I already went. That's one of the other things. You always look for parking. You always scan the areas, making sure. And so, listen, this is from a male's perspective this year. Tickets are available on Eventbrite. They are limited and they are few. So we have some left, but definitely I don't run around on the last day. I don't do it. So it's on Eventbrite. Also, you can message me, hit me up, or Cash App. Tickets are $25. If you cannot, bless somebody else. As one of my theme songs when I was on Power 4.4, bless somebody else by Kurt Carr. Because if the lyric said, Lord, send a harvest. But if he sends the harvest, can he trust you to really bless somebody else? And so we want to bless somebody else if we cannot go, and you're not going to go anywhere and get something of this magnitude for $25. It's about culture. It's about community. It's about pouring and investing into the lives of other people, our youth, our young men, our men of color. And so listen, for our culture, our community. So again, the power of the pen, the Authors Expo, happening this Saturday, May 27, 3 p.m. to 7 at the venue 248 Create, located at 248 South Broadway Street, Baltimore, Maryland, 21231. Message me, hit me up, email me, text me. You can get your ticket, or also you can go on Eventbrite and get your tickets. The tickets are $25, but definitely pray. We everything for just being successful. I've already put a petition. God, give us a beautiful 75-degree sunny day so we can come in fellowship. We can come in as iron sharpens iron. We can come in culture and community. We can come in the power of networking, the power of influence, the power of divine connections to make an impact and make a difference in the lives of somebody else.
Amen. And you mentioned Power 4.4 Radio, the station where the people are the power. I don't think I've officially congratulated Jay McGraw on air for getting married recently to my girl Cinnamon. So I got to give a shout out to them. I got to give it. Jay walked that out, man. Jay walked that out, bro. And I told Jay a long time ago, I haven't seen him in all the years that I've known Jay. He smiled more in the past few years that he's been with Cinnamon than he ever had since I've known him, man. So I got to give a shout out to them, man. They just walked that out recently. Shout out to Jay and Cinnamon. And I also want to say that in the midst of this event that's geared towards the male perspective, that we have Minister Monet Horton hosting. And I don't know what the thought process into getting her to host was, but I've met her before and I know her energy.
Let me tell you, my co-host, my little sis, not only that, she is absolutely my confidant, my prayer partner, my little sis, my business partner, but she really is the push to push me behind this as well. And she has a new single that she'll have plenty singles, Grace Upon Grace. It's on all digital outlets, but I told her, bring no CDs because they need to hear it. And so, but she is such a phenomenal business partner. She, not only that, she has been that right hand, and whatever she has vision, like I'll share it, but she can take it further. And so you need people in your circle that will see what you don't see and take it further. And I tell people this all the time, even when I sent the programs and my layout, when she sent it back in that draft and I sent it to print, listen, I can't show you on here, but I'll show you, I'll text it to you, Twan.
Okay.
But when I tell you, the program is absolutely, when I pick these programs up, from Staples. Shout out to Staples, y'all. Listen, my friend Britt, y'all go to the one at East Point and ask for Britt and tell her Dr. E sent you. When I say these programs are amazing, to the poster boards, to the banners. So shout out to Pastor Tulane Harris. She used to be the lead singer of Atlantic Star. She's singing gospel now. But Beyond Excellent LLC, they did all the graphics. And then Staples did the poster board and the banners when I sent them everything that she did, the tickets, you name it. And so Mo has been right there. I'll be like, Mo, XYZ. And she can take it, you know, even down to my books. Like she literally did the rest of the editing to my books for me, you know, along with my two aunts. But literally, you need people that can see the vision. They will house the vision. They will support the vision. They will push the vision. And if I left the vision with them, they wouldn't steal the vision.
Right. Whoa. That's important right there. I had a conversation about that not too long ago.
Yeah,
you can't just put your vision out to everybody. Your vision to be on BET 2 weeks later. Let me ask.
And that's why I tell people, make sure your stuff is in. Listen, I tell people with books, your clothing line, all that, you know, we do a lot of stuff. But I tell people I just renewed all my stuff for the next 5 years. Right down at Tax and Assessment, 311 East Preston Street, the 8th floor. You use mine, you getting sued.
I know that building well.
Because we do a lot, and somebody may just think of your ideal and run with it. You may have not even shared it because I heard that happen. This just happened to someone. I said, listen, I'm giving you the information. I'm telling you what to do. Now, whether they do with the information, but guess what? Mine's is everything. My book, all of that. I told somebody, get your stuff copyright. Make sure you got that seal. Make sure it's in their archives. Make sure you got that paperwork.
It happens all the time. I literally see this like once every other month. And I'll be trying to tell people like, yo, stop putting your business on social media. Stop putting your visions on social. Stop putting until it's ready to actually launch. Look, until that seed has been planted and watered and is ready to start. Don't put your
and that you got the paperwork to back it up.
That's the watering. That's the watering.
I tell them all my t-shirt line, I just renewed them for the next 5 years. Used to be 7, but they cut it down to 5. I just renewed all of my stuff. So I tell people, you know, because people could just think about it. And that happened to me. And I was like, oh, by the way, show that paperwork.
Lisa, are you available Saturday?
No, I don't think so. We can talk.
Yeah,
we can talk.
I was gonna get a ticket.
I generally work Saturday evenings.
Okay.
Oh, we'll talk after this. We'll talk.
Yeah, we need to see you in the place. You might do some of the red carpet interviews.
Huh? Okay.
You might can do some of the red carpet interviews.
Let me see.
Lisa don't like getting put on the spot, so
you got to be ready.
It's not even that.
You got to be ready.
I'm always I stay ready, so I don't have to get ready. But listen, because I got 2 jobs. Well,
yeah, she's a hard working woman, and I'm
a hustler.
I get it.
Well, we'll talk about that off air. But Doc, man, you already know, bro.
Yeah, we'll definitely talk.
Yeah, but Dr. E, man, bro, I love you so much, bro.
I love you too.
Just continue on the path. I'm still determined that I'm gonna get you to come speak at Victorious Living Faith Ministries one of these days.
Okay.
We actually have a Men's Day coming up. I believe it's in November. And we may need a speaker early. I don't know if you're available early because I know that you do have your service that you have to be at, man. But
as long as I'm accountable, as long as I put my slip in.
I know how that protocol goes, and I'm definitely not going to ask you to step outside of that protocol, man. But bro, I really appreciate you, Doc, because you know, like I said earlier in the show, man, you're just one of those guys that have shown nothing but genuine and true love ever since the day that we met, man. And, you know, whether you're praying for my wife or whether you're praying for me or my son, I always know, man. And you know, when I least expect it, I get an inbox from Dr. E. it's a you know it's a voice message. It's like a literal voice message of him talking. And man, when I tell you that gets me through a moment, that gets me through one of my storms at the time, I really appreciate that, man. Like there's that's
Yeah.
I don't even have the words to explain because it feels like you always know when I need it.
Yeah.
You know what I
And that's
mean?
how God does what he does. My
Yeah,
buddy, I call him
Yeah.
my little brother at my church, Curtis. He just
yeah,
talked about it. He shared it. He said, if you ain't get one of these from Dr. E, he don't love you. I said, now you
right.
can start some trouble. But I didn't know he shared it and you have
Yeah,
no idea. And when that's why I tell people when you're led, do it. Because you
yeah,
have no idea what people endure, what people encounter, what people are dealing with, what people are going through, even your own self. And so when you're led to do it, do it. Because sometimes we
Right.
miss those moments. And if
yeah.
something was to happen, we'd be like, I woulda, shoulda, could. No, do it. That's why I love, value, and appreciate
Yeah.
people now.
Hmm.
Add no cliche now. That's true. Give them their flowers now that they can
Yeah.
smell it. I don't care how you phrase it, coffee, candy, whatever. Do it now because in the words of my late godmother, Pastor Sandy Johnson, she said it like this: "What's left unsaid is still unsaid. They can't hear it."
Hey, and there's still not a woman that has an afro that can touch.
Yeah.
Man, man, I thought about Reverend Sandy. I think it was 2 weeks ago. I was driving up North Avenue and I passed Coppin and I went under the bridge and I looked at that church on the left hand side and I was
No
like,
Hebrew.
man, I thought about her, man.
Yeah.
Man, I thought about her. That
Oh.
her
Yeah.
spirit. Oh my gosh, man, nothing like
Nobody
it,
like her.
nothing like it. But that afro. I remember asking
Ain't
her one
nothing like
time. I
that.
said, "Who puts in the work to keep?" I've never, and I've seen that woman probably 100 times before she passed away. There was never a speck of hair that was out of place on her afro, man. Never, never. And she used to, when I was at St. Stephen's, man, she used to come at least once a year and
Yeah,
shut the house down. You already know how she preached. She used to come and shut the house down, man. Gosh, Doctor E, you're gonna get me in tears thinking about Reverend
I
Sandy, man.
know.
That
I
was my,
know.
yeah. She was really her and Ethel. She was really good friends with Ethel Pullum. And
Yeah.
I remember how hurt Ethel was when she passed, man.
Oh
Shout out
yeah.
to Reverend Sandy. Let everybody know how they can follow you, Doctor E, if they want to purchase books, they want to get tickets, they want to get hoodies, t-shirts. Mr. E got power to see seeds. He got let them know how they can
He don't
find you,
have the
man.
seeds yet. He getting them.
I feel
That's
like
it.
I'm hitting on something with that. I feel like we're hitting
Yeah,
on
that's
something with
that's
that.
it. But
He
I do have a little blue pouch, right, with some seeds that was
See,
given. And
see,
it's amazing because on my vision board, look at this. You talked about the seed. A patient gave me this. It's a seed like about 17 years ago, not knowing it was going to be on my vision board.
wow. See,
Oh.
hey, hey,
So, yeah, but I am definitely available on all the social media, Facebook, Eric Holmes, Twitter, Dr. Eric Holmes, LinkedIn, Dr. Eric Holmes, Instagram, The Power of the Seed, or Dr. E. Holmes. Yeah, on all the social media outlets, so you can reach me. Tickets are again, I said, available on Eventbrite, or you can reach out to me. I still have some tickets. They are $25, and for any of the books, you can reach out to me, or you can go on Amazon. It's always good to get them from me so I can actually sign them. I love signing books. If not, you can definitely go on Amazon. And if you just cannot, just go to the libraries. They're in the library.
hey, and at that point, you have no excuse to not read the book because library cards are still free, from what I understand.
They
Right.
still
So
are. Go get
yeah,
your library card.
yeah.
And that's amazing because do you not know that was one of the criteria when they asked me, when I asked them about my book being in the library, and they said, well, do you have a library card? Photo ID and a library card to fill
Hmm.
out that form.
Wow, wow. And now
It's
you're
like that.
in, and now you're in. What are those countries that you mentioned earlier?
Australia, Mexico, and Mississippi.
Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, but Mississippi, Australia, Mexico. So I was like, wow. and it's what a blessing is. To God be
Yeah,
the glory. But just to know that had I not moved in that pivotal moment or in that Kairos
yeah,
moment, I could have missed everything that God was doing. Even like with Joe or with Abraham, I'm gonna show you as you go. Even
yeah.
when we don't, if He's telling you,
Oh, we lost Lisa.
He'll show you as you go. We
And
may
look at
not
all
know it all, but just keep going and following the plan and
and
instructions.
and look at all of the places that you've been and all of the things that you've done since then. You've done TV all over. You've done radio all over. Like, look at just where it's all manifested and taken you to since then. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I guess we'll let her back
I
in.
mean,
I guess we'll let her back in.
so
She's
I'm
so
like,
No,
what
but
the
she's
heck
really,
going.
is it?
but
Get
really
me
look at
out.
no,
My
Doc, but
gosh.
really look where everywhere that that your voice and your face has been planted since
Mhm.
the time that you started. I remember when you were on Power 4.4 radio with us and you had so much stuff going on and you were like, man, I'm gonna be in Dallas and I'm gonna be here and I'm gonna be there and I'm gonna be such and such. You like it's really like it's a true manifestation of everything that you've talked about, man. It's really been amazing to just sit back and watch the journey. It really has. It really has.
That's
So
why
I'm
you
looking
can't let
forward to
your visions
Saturday.
and dreams die, no matter what comes,
Yeah,
no matter storm, circumstance. You just can't let them die. You can't allow others to
yeah,
cause them to die, not even yourself. And so many times we're working on building others' dreams and visions. We don't build our own. And that's
absolutely.
the thing. I tell people, don't do that. While I'm working at home, oh, believe me, I'm building my business.
Mhm. Yeah.
While they paying for everything.
And that's one of the reasons, and yes, Lisa, I'm about to put you out there. That's one of the reasons that I wanted to bring Lisa on as my co-host because I really believe that she has an amazing
Oh,
vision and an amazing brand. And I wanted to get her feet wet to get back into this thing so that she can start doing what I know she can do. Yes, I'm putting you out there.
Wonderful,
In the
wonderful.
words of Dr. Holmes, work the vision and build the brand. And that's what Lisa's about to do.
That's
what?
it.
You're gonna keep pushing me, Mr. Antoine.
That's
Absolutely.
it. But
Absolutely.
sometimes you need somebody to push you
Absolutely.
to purpose, and then push you to the next dimension, push you to the next
Yeah.
level. But you need people that genuinely love you, that see the vision, that see it, and can push you to purpose, that can push you with the vision, the goals. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people, if they don't genuinely love it or whatever,
Yeah. Yeah. And most importantly, people that don't want anything in return for the push. You know what I'm
that's
saying?
it.
I don't have any ulterior motives other than to, you know, help her get where I believe she can be. And
Yes.
sometimes you got to give that person that little push. And I'm gonna push her till she goes off the edge. And then when she go off the edge, I'm gonna catch her and push her on the ground. So
All right.
and that's why
You
she
know
keeps
what?
coming back. And that's why she keeps coming
It is
back.
obviously yes, it's obviously something that is not wanting me to do it, but I'm still here and I'm not
Because
going
you don't,
anywhere.
because you don't have your technical engineer staff with you tonight, so I don't know what's
I
going on
don't.
over
They
there.
left me. It's all good. It's
No,
all
but
good. I'm here, but yes, I appreciate Mr. Antoine, and yes, I am in the process of my seeds, Doctor E. Yes,
she's planting the seeds. That's why I hope
I'm planting my
that
seeds.
she doesn't get mad when I keep pushing, because I'm gonna keep pushing until.
No, I'm not. I know it's from a place of love, so I can't get
Yeah,
mad.
absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. Doc, I appreciate you, man. I'm not gonna keep you
Oh,
too much longer. I know you got a night ahead of you because you're always busy, you always working, and Saturday is right around the corner. So I'm sure you got a lot more things that you need to take care of, and I know you're gonna be somewhere praying sometime soon in the next couple of
yeah, no,
hours. So, Doc, and that's another thing, man. I always appreciate. I know that I'm a part of those prayers. I know that my son is a part of those prayers. I know that my wife is a part of those prayers, man. And even when I don't hear
absolutely.
those prayers, I know that they're coming up from Northeast Baltimore. I know that they're coming up from over that way, man. So I
Absolutely.
definitely appreciate you for that, man. So, so, so
Absolutely.
much, man. Thank you for always, just being Dr. E. That's the only way I can explain it. You're
Yeah.
just Dr. E, man. And I thank you and I appreciate you for that, bro.
I thank y'all. Listen, this
No
has
doubt.
been wonderful,
Absolutely.
and it's just
Always.
amazing when you just have people that one. connect with the vision, and we're connecting with one another in our vision, their vision, you know, and this is what it is, building one another, helping one another, pushing one another, encouraging one another. And because it is like Hezekiah, when I posted that song on my face, I need you to survive. We need each other to survive.
I pray for you. You pray for me.
Yeah. We're in this together.
Just that simple sometimes. I appreciate you, Doc. Have a good evening, man.
All right, y'all too. Peace and blessings.
All right, Doc. Have a good one, man. Look, I don't know what's going on with Lisa's feed, and I'm actually kind of upset now because I still don't have my Facebook situation together. But we have Memorial Day next Monday, which means we won't be on. And over these next 2 weeks, man, I'm gonna really work with Facebook and StreamYard to see if we can get this situation straight, because I feel like a lot of my fans, a lot of my supporters, and just a lot of people are really missing out on some amazing information that we've been giving out, man. So I appreciate everybody that tuned in tonight. I'm going to make sure that this is rebroadcasted not only on Facebook, but of course the actual podcast will be available on all of our streaming platforms in the next day or so. I just appreciate you guys, man. Thank you again, Dame. If you're still watching, I love you, bro. Appreciate you so much, man. We need to connect sometime. Have some chicken and waffles. Inside joke. But everybody, man, enjoy your Memorial Day weekend. Baltimore, put the guns down, man. And we will see you guys in 2 weeks. Access granted the pod stream. Lisa, I appreciate you. My man is still there. What's up, Dane? I almost sent you the link and told you to pop in, Dane. I almost sent you the link and told you to pop in, bro. But definitely appreciate you. Always love, man. And we'll connect soon. Again, everybody enjoy your Memorial Day weekend, man. We will see you guys in 2 weeks. This is Access Granted the pod stream. Continue to follow us on all of our social media. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow. Make sure you get all of the notifications, man, because not only do we have the show that comes on, you know, every Monday that we're on, but we also have other content that we've been putting out there. I've been putting up content from the Dominican Republic trip, which has been absolutely amazing. And actually, we'll probably post another video tonight from there because my wife's been harassing me to get all of the stuff out. So again, man, I appreciate you guys. I love you. Dame Dash, I know you're no more than 5'3", but you're 6'12" in my book. I love you, bro. I'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Peace.